Rolling along here on a busy Friday. Busy, I mean, guest list wise. There's not like, other than the World Cup, there's not a whole ton popping in the sports world on this summer Friday. But we are keeping things rolling along here into the 4 o'clock hour with our buddy Paul Hamilton on the West Her hotline to pour over more off-season moves and moves not made in the NHL. Paul, good afternoon. How are you, buddy?
I'm well. How are you today?
I'm good. Are you are going to see some music tonight? Is that right?
Well, I had a choice between Little Big Town, or which I've seen quite often, or the Femmes of Rock, who I've seen a couple of times. So I decided to go to Art Park with the Femmes of Rock, it's a very, very unique show, very enjoyable show. It's, I think, the third or fourth time I've seen them, and I've liked them every time.
All right, excellent. I have a suggestion for you, and it involves a band. Did I send you? I've mentioned this band Grosh to you before.
Yes.
Local act.
I've started looking for I'm going to get there at some point. I've started looking for when they are playing and if it matches my schedule.
They are playing. They do this a time a year or so, I think. They're doing a Zeppelin tribute set tomorrow night at Sportsman's Park. Actually, that's like 5 o'clock, I think, 7 o'clock showtime. So, yeah, tomorrow night, which is adjacent to the Sportsman's Tavern on Amherst Street in Buffalo. And highly recommend to Paul or anyone else out there. I know you're going to a concert tonight, so maybe you don't want to do the same thing. But really cool scene there, $20, bring a lawn chair. There's, drinks and food trucks and whatnot. And they will absolutely kill it. The guitar player, Grace, is one of the best guitar players in the city. The vocalist, Megan Brown, is tremendous. They're great. Highly recommend that show for anyone out there tomorrow at Sportsman's.
Well, my schedule opened up around 11 o'clock this morning. I was supposed to do something tomorrow, and unfortunately it kind of changed where I wouldn't be able to do it. So it is definitely a possibility now where it would not have been had my schedule not opened up.
Let's put it on the list. All right, enough of that, Paul. So I put up a poll earlier today. These things we know are not scientific. What I think you and I are in agreement here. The number one center spot on this team, the Sabres, I think, as much as I want to get excited about Yuri Kulich coming back, and I like Josh Norris, I still think like Dylan Larkin would be the prize if you could somehow make it happen, but I don't think either of us are optimistic that it will. So I don't know what to do about it, but I think objectively, if I were looking at the Sabre roster right now, I think that would still be the thing that I would be most focused on them lacking, is like someone that I can count on to be a point-a-game guy and play the games. Like I think Norris could be close to that if he could play all the games. We'll see about Cooley coming back off a year off. But, man, I think that's still the biggest hole I see on the roster.
Yeah, it is. And I see Larkin now has expanded to 4 teams.
Dallas is on the list.
Yeah.
Now, yeah.
So,
congrats.
And I think if he wants to be traded, he probably is going to have to expand to more than 4 teams. The Buffalo Sabres obviously are not on his list yet as far as a team that he'd be willing to go to. That doesn't mean they would not eventually be on that list. That's the guy right there that I would be looking at. Of course, I'd be interested in Robertson, but not at $15 million a year. I just don't think he's that guy. Mm-hmm. But I would definitely overpay for Dylan Larkin if that's what it were to take. That's the guy I would overpay for. But he has to loosen his. That's the thing. You want to be traded, but you basically are telling the Red Wings, yeah, but here I'll tell you where you can trade me.
Yeah.
And good luck with that.
You want the team to untie your hands while you tie theirs with the same rope, basically, is what Dylan Larkin's trying to pull. And the other thing that's really interesting about his situation, Paul, like a lot of these things that come to a head, it's, a year or two off. Like Werenski's hasn't been traded yet. We'll see if he ever does, like during this cycle, I mean. But he's got 2 years left, but there's concern that he won't re-sign. Tkachuk was the same way in Ottawa. Like it wasn't at the deadline yet, but it was, yeah, I'm not going to engage in another contract with you guys, so you should just get the best deal you can now. And there's leverage in that. There's power in that. Larkin has 5 years left. Like, I think that makes it very tough for him to give them so little to work with, because I think his leverage is really lacking.
No, I agree. I mean, and the other teams have a salary cap they have to abide by also. Does the team that he wants to go to have cap space? Do they need a centerman, even though he's a very good centerman? Are they all set at center? Is he a guy maybe they really don't need? Maybe he thinks he needs to go there, but they may be looking at going, thanks. You're a great player, but we're all set as far as that goes. I just think it's not for sure, but I think it's a pretty good possibility. He's going to have to loosen things up a little bit if that's if he wants to be traded. Otherwise, he's going to wind up another year with the Detroit Red Wings, and how will that roll?
Yeah, and I wonder how much that changes even in another year, because he'll still have 4 years left next offseason. And I think it's a weird – he's gone about it in a strange way, I guess I would say.
Yeah,
he doesn't have
how
leverage.
Your teammates when you've basically said, I don't want to be here anymore, but you're stuck here and they haven't traded you, and here you are on opening night, but you've said you don't want to be here. How does that go over?
Yeah, no, especially for the captain, right? I mean, just a tough scene. Paul Hamilton on the West Her Hotline. So I had this poll, what the Sabres need. Simple question. The Sabres need, right? Number one center, veteran replacement for Tuck, a goaltender upgrade, or trust the kids. Those were the choices. And a couple of people replied to me hey, you left off the most glaring one, which is another D. And I think you and I are in agreement here. I think they're done with their defense core right now. Right? I mean, I think Zellweger and Crevier, I think, are nice ads. You and I have gone back and forth a couple times on who's going to play where, but either way, those two guys are in their top six, I think. And I like the Zellweger bet. And Kekalainen even said they like the potential of him replacing some of what Byram gave them, if not all of what Byram gave them. So I think the D-core, I'm buying that. I think that's a good bet, Zellweger especially, and I'm intrigued by the Crevier kid too.
And if you have an injury, Metsa's around still, and he showed us last year that he's just fine in the National Hockey League. So Metsa's around. Timmins is a penalty killer. I'm not extremely thrilled with him at 5.55, but so you got the two of them too. So yeah, definitely, I agree with you that defense. I saw the early part of your poll. I don't know if it's changed. I know goaltending was the number one thing at the time. I think people are a little too crazed over how bad the goaltending is. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's, my opinion, I don't think it's as bad as some people let on that it is. Again, I'm not saying that Hellebuyck can't return to form after one bad year. He might. We don't know. But he did have the one bad year, so we don't know if that means he's on the way down or if it was just 1 year. And that's an $8.5 million bet that you're making, that it was just 1 year if you do acquire him, plus whatever you have to trade to get him. Luukkonen was better last year. It's simple as that. Luukkonen, I think too many people forget what he did for a long, long period of time from December, both Luukkonen and Lyon, from December towards the end of the season. And even in the playoffs, I mean, they don't win the game in Montreal that they had to win without him. I mean, he was great in that game. And Game 7, I didn't mind him either in Game 7. I thought he was fine. I just don't think he's as bad as people make him out to be, and I think there are a lot more problems on this team than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yeah, goalie upgrade is slightly edging out number one center, 33.5% to 32.7%. Vet replacement for Tuck is 23.3%, and then Trust the Kids, not surprisingly, lagging in fourth place at 10.4%. Yeah, the goalie thing to me, Paul, has largely been I think when we started pondering the offseason and what moves could get made and started sitting with the possibility that Hellebuyck might be available, I was mostly a no. I don't want to spend the assets. I don't want to spend the money at 33 years of age. I'm just not sure. But we get through the draft and free agency, and Robert Thomas isn't getting traded. Dylan Larkin isn't on our list. We couldn't find a way to acquire Matthew Nyes to replace Tuck. I end up sort of settling on, well, I guess I could try to upgrade goaltending, and I'm not sure the Sabres view it that way, but that was the pecking order for me, and I feel like I'm sort of left with by last resort type thinking, all right, try the goalie thing, because I want to do something, I think, and I don't know, that probably isn't good process.
You're right. In my opinion, just the thing of let's do something, and then do something that, and again, you are trading for a goaltender coming off a bad year. Simple as that. And again, it might just been 1 year, but do you want to take that chance? I mean, are you really improving your goaltending? Might be. Then again, you might not be. And then you gave up those assets, and you're stuck with an $8.5 million goaltender, which I'm not crazy about either. To upgrade a thing that I don't think is as bad as people make it out to be. So, no, I am still in the camp of that's not the direction I would head in unless the Sabres could get him for a song and maybe Winnipeg could keep some money or I don't know. It just. I think it's an awfully big chance on a guy who also has not been a playoff performer recently. And, what has he done for – I mean, Winnipeg were the President's Trophy winners. Where did having the best goalie in the world get him?
Yep. Yeah, well, agreed. And I also – I've said quite a few times this week that, yes, in 13 playoff games we had it was Luukkonen, then Lyon, then Luukkonen again, then Lyon again, then Luukkonen again. It was, it was a little scattershot. But in the regular season, the two of them, plus really even Ellis, I think it was a strength of the team. They rated very favorably in goals saved above expected, both guys. Lyon more so than Luukkonen, but Luukkonen was certainly very good in that regard too. So it's one of those recency things, right? I got to do it in the playoffs, and in the playoffs they were, each guy got pulled multiple times. How much do I want to trust it? So I think that's really circles you back to the conversation even having legs at all. Paul Hamilton on the West Her Hotline with us. All right, I said we were going to spend some time on some of the other teams, and I'm sure you've prepared diligently for that. Let's just quickly, Florida, I think Florida is going to be back. They made the huge move to get Brady Tkachuk. They're betting on Jacob Markstrom, and that might be sketchy. Talk about goalies, right? I don't know how that'll work for them, but they're going that route instead of staying with Bobrovsky. I think that's a team that'll be right back at the top of the Atlantic again.
Yeah, and Schmidt is also going to be in goal for them from Vegas, so those are their two goaltenders. Markstrom 2 years ago, you would have said, "Oh, good job, you got a good goaltender there," but he's had a couple of years now that have been subpar. We all know Brady Tkachuk. The problem with Brady Tkachuk is he sits in the penalty box too much. I mean, and I remember saying this with Brian. Anytime they played Ottawa, I go, this guy sits in the penalty box half the night, taking stupid penalties. And then against Buffalo, he would take the dumbest penalties, and you're just like, what are you doing? You can't take that penalty as the captain of this team. They need you on the ice. They do not need you in the penalty box. Does he learn that in Florida? I don't know, but and then it's like, well, and then after that, let's goon it up. We got to get Gudis and Hathaway. Yep. Let's get back to the 70s and the Broad Street Bullies and everything. So I don't know. Markstrom is definitely a question mark.
That's the biggest question mark, I think.
Yeah. Where does he take them? If he plays like he did a couple years ago, they're going to be in good shape again. Plus, the guys that they've gotten back that didn't trade for, that didn't play hardly at all last year. Their captain is back, and he's huge to be in their lineup. I mean, absolutely huge. Barkov.
Yeah,
I mean,
and even was back enough to play. He played in the World Championships. I mean, Hellenius was on a line with him somewhat frequently, I think.
Of all those other guys I mentioned, Barkov means more to them than any of the rest of them do.
Yeah, I agree too.
So that's for Florida. I mean, and I got Tampa Bay right under them. You got three defensemen who are 35 years old and older. You picked up Carlson.
Right.
What has he got left in the tank? We'll see. And they really haven't done. They got Radish, But again, that's an offensive type of defenseman.
Well, no, they moved him to Toronto.
Or they moved him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Carlson for Radish.
Right.
Is I just misspoke. So
that's a bet. I'm all right with that bet. Like,
because Carlson's a better defender, actual
all-around
defenseman.
player. Yes,
right.
I think. And Radish, I'm not down on Radish. I think Radish got paid about what he should get paid off of the year he had, and even if he regresses to like 15 goals and 50 points, I think $8.5 million. Like that's the going rate. I think Toronto did all right there, but Tampa, I like the bet for Carlson to at least bridge the gap for a bit here and see what's left there.
But how much better did Tampa get by getting Radish? I don't know.
The Toronto, you mean.
Toronto. I'm sorry, Toronto. Yeah, I got Tampa on the mind. How much better did Toronto get by getting Radish? I mean, they also got Bobrovsky, but we don't know what that's going to turn into. If it's what it was the past year or so, not going to turn into much. And then McKenna, you don't know what a first overall pick. Some of them start off and are really, really good. Some of them need a little bit of seasoning before they're really, really good. So, yeah, you got Bobrovsky and you got Radish and you got McKenna. How much better does that actually make you?
Yeah, they did remake their bottom six. I think they'll be faster and maybe defensively a little better. But, yeah, I'm not worried about them. Like, I started with Florida, and you brought in right into Tampa, which is fine because those are teams that I think I expect to be battling at the top. Toronto, I think, is still behind the Sabres here and maybe behind everybody else, too. Like, I don't think they've improved enough to be a team that's even in the wild card mix. I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm curious about Montreal. I feel like they maybe have been a little bit quieter, it feels like, but you know,
very quiet.
That's okay. I mean, they've got a lot of really nice young players there who've already played. Like, you know, they decided to pay Demidov. They've got a contract already for Hudson. They paid a goalie. They paid Dobis, although I still think the other guy's going to be better than him, Fowler, in the long run. So Montreal's mostly they're more like the Sabres. They're sort of standing still here, but I still like a lot of what they've got there.
Yeah, they took the Kevin Adams way of doing things. Sign your own, which is what they spent the offseason doing. And they signed them to reasonable contracts. You know, so really didn't do much else other than that. Gallagher wasn't playing anyway. So, you know, he's gone. I believe he went to Vancouver, if I'm going by memory here. And
That's right.
So they basically went with the model of, these are our players. These are the guys we like. These are the guys that got us where we're going to go. They're still young. Let's get these guys signed. Let's get these guys part of the group now. And that's been their off season so far.
Well, we know we already covered Tkachuk leaving and going to Florida, and we talked about Florida. Ottawa, it feels to me like, is in a, I don't want to say tailspin, but I mean they were forced at gunpoint to trade their captain.
Right.
I just think that's going to be hard to recover from in 1 year, I think.
I do like William Eklund. I think that's a good get for them.
Yep.
They still have Stutzel and Batherson. Giroux's back. Shane Pinto's a nice player. Dylan Cousins, whatever you want to say about him, he put some points up on the board last year.
He had the year we were waiting for him to have again.
He put some points up on the board last year. So they still have those guys. They got Sanderson at the blue line. I'm not crazy at all about Urson. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. But I guess they thought it was a good idea. But I do like Eklund. I thought that was a good get for them.
And the Bruins. I've been waiting to talk to you about the Bruins, Paul, because I heard you on draft night after the trade they made with Utah to pick up Peterka, and you were just, guns blazing on JJ Peterka. Tell us how you really feel is how I felt sitting in my truck. It was one of those, I parked and I was just sitting because you were just going, and I'm like, I got to hear all of this. And, I get it. I mean, it obviously didn't work. I mean, holy cow, Utah traded Josh Doan and Kesselring for him, and then they just bailed out after 1 year.
And then they signed him for what, 7.7, somewhere in there?
Yeah, it's over 7, and it wasn't long, maybe 5 years, I think. It's not a big, long deal, but still, they made a commitment and just pulled the chute. All that said, I love him. If Boston can stand his defensive shortcomings, which is a lot to say, I know, I think he'll score 35 to 40 goals playing with Pasternak. I think that is going to be excellent for them.
He better get to 40 with as bad as he is defensively.
Yep.
I mean, he can score 30, but I have no use for him as a 30-goal scorer if he doesn't improve as a two-way hockey player, because he absolutely kills them. He killed Utah last year to the point where they took him out of their top 6. It's like, surprise. Where do you guys have scouts? Do you actually scout a team before you stupidly trade Doan and Kesselring for some guy? I mean, what is wrong with you people? But to their credit, they got out from under what might have been the worst trade in team history. Plus, I'm including Arizona too, as well as maybe the worst contract you wrangled in team history. Somehow you got out of it and got first-round picks out of it. So I'm like, okay, good job. Yeah. I'm impressed. I'm impressed that you admitted your mistake, how bad it was, and I'm very impressed how you got out of it.
I want to get some action with somebody on him scoring 35 goals. I feel like that's my floor on Peterka. So I like that for them. I was not really bullish on them having staying power, watching them play the Sabres. But Hagens might be someone to really elevate. And I'm as I've already said, I'm pretty bullish on this Peterka idea. I think that's going to work out for them. So I'm treating them like they've improved. I think the Bruins. I like what the Bruins have done, even though you hate Peterka. So
I just don't think he's ever going to learn.
Yeah. Well,
that he goes to another team and he's still the same guy.
Try this on.
And the other team's like, yeah, we got to get him out of here.
Yeah, right. No, I know. It looks bad. Try this on. I got a buddy of mine that I see at the bar I hang out at. He's Boston Chris. He's from Boston. He's a Bruins fan. And I saw him last weekend, and I said, man, I love this Peterka trade for you. He's like, German coach. He's betting on Marco Sturm, who's a legend in Germany, like that will bring Peterka. That'll be the come to Jesus on defense meeting for Peterka. And I don't know. We'll see if that works. But one other little piece to throw into the stew for you is maybe the coach. Maybe that'll get Peterka to like dig in and play some defense. Maybe
it is a point to make. Having a German coach who can show him to believe in him. Look at what Granato did for Dahlin. Basically, wouldn't say a bad thing about him. It didn't matter if he was any good. Granato, every single time he went to a podium, talked about how great Dahlin was, whether he was or wasn't. And Dahlin really, really appreciated it. And he really got him going. And I give Don Granato all the credit in the world for that.
Do we need to talk about Detroit? You kind of did already, right? When we talked about Larkin, we don't know what's really going to happen there.
Kane's gone, and Will Borgen's on defense for Boston too. So is Clifton. They got a couple of three former Sabres. That's basically their moves.
I wasn't prepared to bring those up as ideas that are helping them, Paul.
Will Borgen will help him. Well, he's a pretty good defenseman.
Okay, all right. Well, enjoy your concert, and maybe you can make it down to the Sporto tomorrow for Grosh.
No, I didn't know about that, so I'm glad you put it on my radar.
Put it on the board. I won't be able to make it. I have plans. I'm spoken for tomorrow.
But it is an outdoor deal.
It's an outdoor show. Yes, there's a park next door to the Sportsman.
So bring a chair.
Bring a chair and some sunscreen. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, Paul. Thanks a lot for this. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Take care.